Hello, my name is Philip. I'm a filmmaker, and today I'm going to be talking to you about why the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to blow your mind more than you even think, because none of us have ever even seen Final Fantasy VII. What do I mean by that? Stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Like, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's going to be pretty cool in the remake to like see these redone scenes and stuff. It's like, what do you mean redone scenes? Like, the original didn't even have scenes. It was Lego characters standing on a pre-rendered background stage. It's almost comparable to theater. If you're in a theater watching some sort of production, you're in a theater and you're experiencing that sort of art form. It's a human connection, right? This is why a lot of theater, if you notice theater acting versus acting for the camera, is much more exaggerated. It's much bigger, it's much louder to be able to deliver those emotions when, you know, you're pretty far away. But it's not, because they're not humans. They're these little Lego people with crazy polygons, right? You've never seen this with human beings, even forms vaguely resembling human beings. It's not even a facial connection. A lot of the memories you have of this game that have stuck with you for years is not even the gameplay. It's all the pre-rendered cutscenes. Sephiroth walking through the fire. That's the stuff that sticks with you because it's a little closer to anime figures and that sort of animation technique. So when we look at, for instance, the opening sequence, and you see that pre-rendered background, and then the first time you start playing the demo, the fact that you can move the camera, like, you're no longer anchored in your memory, in your childhood memory of FF7. And it's so cool in that way, because it's all new, but like, if you'll notice, that's when people really have no reference point to be able to say, oh yeah, this part in the original was cool. Like, there was no part, it was just a picture and you were running through the picture. The other sort of challenge that this is gonna bring up, imagination is so incredibly powerful. Is much more powerful, a particular image that you can remember. Because the images were so rudimentary, you inadvertently imagine these scenes and you remember it almost in a way that you would while reading a book. So now, these people who are making the remake, the original creators of the game, they've even said this in interviews, they're actually combating the memory of nothing, of the imagination. Like, everybody remembers this game differently. That's insane. So they're going up against not only this like perfect childhood experience, which you've no doubt embellished, you've no doubt, like, you know, sprinkled the sweet spice of nostalgia on it. So it's better than it actually is. And they said this, it's like, yeah, this game isn't that good. Like, not only are they competing, if you will, with the original game, which was great, right? Like, all the scenarios are amazing, but like, how do you picture Tifa in the bar when you first meet her, and then like remembering Cloud and Tifa as children? You can only picture one thing. It's that overhead view. It's not intimate at all. It's not even close to intimate. It's just a sort of like picture of like the entire set. Like, it's, again, that's why I use the theater reference here. And then you picture them in the childhood memory. It's just the picture of the water tower, that one angle. And our imagination would have increased the memory and made it our own thing. So that's my point, is everybody remembers the game differently. Everybody has their unique perspective and their unique, like, imagination of not only how Cloud looks, by the way, but how he talks, how he acts, and how the characters look, I think, is incredibly important. It didn't even really have a full anime aesthetic, right? So a lot of people imagine Cloud, like, not in an anime way, because in 1997, man, like, anime was not as big in the West. You know, we didn't have, like, tons of JRPGs with amazing graphics and the anime aesthetic. We didn't have Funimation streaming accounts, right? It's not that mainstream at all. It's incredibly niche, in fact. Yeah, it's very much wide view sets, and your mind runs with it. Yeah, totally, right? Incredibly vague and wonderful thing that they did. And they're now gonna go up against themselves. The best thing about this is it's the original creators, right? Essentially, our imaginations took over when we were kids, and for the first time ever, that is no more. We will never have to imagine those scenes anymore. It is both a tragedy and a victory, right? Because on the tragedy side, we have our imagination, which has no doubt been stilted into this beautiful, pristine perfection, is going to go away. All the ways you pictured Cloud and Tifa talking in Seventh Heaven, all the ways you pictured all these characters interacting as humans, with expressions, with voices, with feelings that we can see on their faces, has gone now, because you're going to see it depicted in stone and concrete as the scene. That's why I say no one's ever seen it. The scene. And that's it. Does it get rid of those memories? Of course not. Right? I equate it to when you read a book and you have a picture of Harry Potter in your head, and then the movie finally came out and you saw Harry Potter, right? Luckily, great adaptation. This is a little different than adaptation, made by the same creators, is fully realized, but it's a bit of a tragedy in that your original vision is not obsolete, but it is revised, you might say. Finalized in a sort of way, right? And in the other way, it's a victory, because we're finally able to take what we could only imagine, we could only picture as children, finally show its true form. Finally, these artists who made the original are able to realize the full vision, and that is worth celebrating. It's worth the wait. It's worth 23 years, isn't it? So, exciting times. What is your favorite Final Fantasy? Yeah, we're going to be playing the full game on Twitch in just a couple days, so make sure to follow on Twitch as well, guys. Very, very, very exciting. Make sure to follow my main channel. We have over 100,000 subscribers. We've never seen this game. Finally, you'll be able to see this game with human reactions, with human emotions. We won't have to rely on our imaginations to reconstruct this, like, creation of the past. Now we're going to see it, and the problem that a lot of people are going to have, I predicted this game, is that's it. Now you've seen it. It is set in stone. There's no more imagining, and that is going to bother a lot of people, I think. And a lot of people are going to have problems with it because it's not going to be what they imagined. Luckily, Square Enix is so good at what they do, and the cinematics are so incredible that it's not going to matter, right? They're going to deliver such a I mean, look at this opening. Look at how amazing it is. So that's what I mean by that, is they're competing with people's memories and their imaginations. It's double, man. Like, when you go up against nostalgia for a remake, it's already like an uphill battle. It's a Sisyphean effort, essentially, because people are always going to be upset, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much effort you put in. But they're also combating with people's imaginations. So it's like it's a recipe for people to be upset. But the fact that this is being received so well, it says it all, man. Like, they've actually done it. They've taken this, like, sort of amalgam of everybody's imaginations from the past and childhood memories and cherished times, and they've done it. They've actually matched it. The only reason that's possible, by the way, because the original creators did it. The stuff that you're seeing is the ideas they had in the original but couldn't fit in the script. That's why this is so good. They couldn't figure it out, man. They're like, we don't have the technology for this. We don't have the space for this. We don't have the disk space for this. And finally, it's all coming together for Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's so exciting. We get to see what they imagined back in the day with Kitase, Nomura, Toriyama even. Sakaguchi imagined but couldn't put to this game. It's more grand than even we remember, with our ridiculous expectations and imagination. So that's what makes me so excited about this, mostly. Our memory, our representation of the game is totally different than what it was. And it was kind of like weird retrograde realization where I was like, wow, materia goes in the weapons. Like, of course, idiot. Like, you know that. But you've never seen it once, ever. I'm pretty sure in Advent Children they don't ever put materia in the weapons. Like, Kadaj at one point puts it in his arm. It's like, okay. And if you look up, look, I can see Shinra Tower. Only because of the technological limitations, you couldn't look up. You never really saw up in the game. This was a very special cutscene. The fact that we can finally see, like, oh, that's Shinra Tower. Like, it gives you spatial awareness, man, of Midgar. It gives you spatial awareness of the city. That's that big building from the intro. It's going to add so much more, like, gravitas to it. It's just so satisfying, too. Look at that. It's got really good physics.
Nothing to it.
The guy, he didn't do so well. I hit him so hard, he returned to the planet. I'm gonna say something that's gonna bother people. I'm ready for the hate. But when you look at Advent Children, those actors never played these characters. Just like we never saw the original game. Go back and watch Dirge of Cerberus. It's like probably the worst written thing ever. It's the stupidest, most cringe thing, like physical cringe. The most illogical, insane, non-human like dialogue in anything ever. It makes no sense. Even as those actors were amazing in Advent Children, like they had nothing to work with, man. Like, actually nothing to work with, because they missed the actual character arcs, which is this game. It's just like these caricatures of the characters much later on, 2 years later, and they're like, hey, there's this guy, he went through a lot of stuff, yeah, ex-soldier, whatever. And now he's depressed. And it's like, there's nothing to work with, man. There's no material. There's like 5 minutes of dialogue in that movie, and the rest is fighting, which is fine. It's hype, but staggered too. See you around, people. So this is what I mentioned earlier, right? About the game, us never really seeing it or feeling the space of the original. That's Shinra Tower. This was the view in the original. Boom. That's all you get. No idea what's behind. Now we know. It's like, oh, okay, I'm like X amount of miles away from Shinra Tower. There it is, in the center of the city. Like, it's constantly reminding you, building the spatial awareness. We're getting more cutscenes from Shinra Tower, like reminding you where it is. It's incredibly well done. Get these sort of very vague representations of each area. It's incredibly short too.
Another floor.
Nice of Nathan Drake to cosplay Snake in the role of Biggs. Wow. So here's a crazy thing. Heidegger is voiced by Waka from Final Fantasy X. That's talent.
Sole purpose is to drain
the teachings. What about the teachings? I love this too. It's like, this is a really cool scene because Barrett's kind of like flexing, trying to be cool. One false move and that happens, and Cloud just is like not having it. He's like, yeah, you're a nerd.
There's some
like,
places
get out of my way,
sword
dork.
just can't reach.
I don't even care if you fight with me. And Barrett's like all disappointed. Like, watch this. He's like, yeah. Does like the Prince Sidon pose from Zelda Breath of the Wild. Watch this. I see. Cloud's just like, yeah, I gotta work with this dork. I want more money. And look, he's so bummed out. Man, I thought I was so cool right there. This is what I'm talking about. That little subtlety I just described, impossible. Absolutely impossible in the original. One of my favorite memes, actually, it's a Star Wars prequel meme, or Clone Wars meme. But it's like girls when their friend gets out in dodgeball. It's like, oh, that sucks, you know, Susie, or whatever, like, that sucks. And it's like, boys when their friend gets out in dodgeball, and it's like, oh, they're like holding his body on the ground, the clones from Star Wars. It's like, he was a true soldier.
Guess that make you a 1-year-old, huh?
You see what I'm saying, man? The way he says that, but like that sounded so real. The way he said it, just looking at him like, what the hell is wrong with this dude, man? He's weird. He's weird. And that's the skill of John Eric Bentley, that he can pull that off. And of what's his name? Cody. I forget his last name all the time. But Cody, who plays Cloud. More on my point from earlier. This shot does not exist. Like, you're not looking down into the reactor. It's like, you know, it's a view like this. You're just looking at the ladder as Cloud climbs down, the original. So the fact that you can see this whole scope of this room, man, take it all in, it's just really exciting. And to be fair, they tried to do stuff like this in the original. I mean, they did do it, but of course it was pre-rendered background with like little lighting effects. And look at the Mako. Like, you don't even see this in the original, right? And now we've established that it's sucking the life out of the planet. Like, it's just.
All right, let's see if little stamp really.
So I'm gonna pause it to explain this. When I first heard this little stamp thing, do you guys know what this is? I was like, what the hell is little stamp? Is it like a weird translation thing? No, it's not. We're past weird translation things. It's not 1997. Little stamp is a Shinra war propaganda little dog who is in one of the I should have shown it earlier. He's in one of the posters when you're running through the railway station. So you're gonna most likely see that when you're like in Seventh Heaven watching TV. It's gonna be like, little stamp, the face of Shinra, like whatever. It's war propaganda, man, to get the children, you know, into the war machine, get them excited about it, get them excited about war and support the Shinra military. It's like, wow, they're going that deep with it. They actually are. It's really exciting, man. Stamp, bite the hand that feeds is Shinra. Oh, look, there it is. There it is. You see that? The Adventures of Stamp, Book 3. Everyone's favorite series. You don't say. Stamp stands for his friends. So that's why when Barrett says, like, what's the matter? Little Stamp can't bite the hand that feeds. That's it. Red Lord. Okay, this, of course, is fantastic. We hear those notes. Huh? Those chosen by the planet, also known as Sephiroth's theme. Curious. The Guard Scorpion fight, even though it's in 3D space in the battle arena, you don't really see around it so much. So now with the remake, you can finally take in this massive space, and if it was a truly mobile Guard Scorpion like that, or Guard Sentinel, Scorpion Sentinel, it would be using the environment. It would be jumping all over the place, and that's what's scary about this fight. As ever seen it. This is why people are constantly arguing. You notice that? People are constantly arguing over what happened in certain scenes in FF7. It's because nobody knows. Like, literally, there's these scenes where it's like, yeah, what are you talking about? Under the airship? Cloud dipped the noodle, man. Absolutely laid pipe. Not a question. Other people are like, no, he loves Ares. No. Because everybody has like imagination of what happened, man. It was Lego people. We get this great little thing here. Like, look at this, man. This is what I mean about the spatial awareness. Like, when you see the reactor pop in the old one, it's a quick shot from overhead. That's literally it. It's like 5-10 seconds unless I'm wrong of CG. This, man, look, we got cars like screeching to a halt like holy. Make sure to subscribe. Check out my main channel where we have over 100,000 subscribers. We make fight scenes, we do martial arts tutorials in the vein of Final Fantasy and that like cinematic flair that we all love. Let me know in the comments too, who is your favorite Final Fantasy waifu? Also, make sure to check out my main channel. We have over 100,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys around town.